Hey Libra, what's going on? I hope that you're all doing well. The first card that we have out is Temperance. We also have Two of Cups. With the Two of Cups, I'm seeing a mirroring that's going on here. Okay. It looks like you're going through a little bit of a rocky time right now, but it also feels like it's over, meaning what you have recently gone through could have been something that was feeling challenging, and you can still be in a place where you're figuring things out. It feels like the major part of this is finished now. I'm seeing this very intense red color here. Whatever this is that's been very much on your mind, the situation is now finished. So it doesn't feel like it's something that's continuing to go on. However, you can still be very much dealing with this at this point. So even though the events are over, you can still be experiencing the aftermath of this. Maybe it's something you feel a little bit fixated on. I'm seeing Seven of Swords here. You may find something out after the fact. Some of you, this is going to have to do with a close relationship of yours. Okay. Seven of Swords and Three of Swords is this classic feeling of you not being told something important, there being a lack of transparency of some sort. It also speaks about like doing things, there not being and owning up to what's been being done to. Some of you too, you recently had a falling out with someone, and this can be somebody that you are or you were at least, very, very close with this person. It's interesting because I'm seeing Temperance here. And I'm wondering if this is going to eventually apply to the relationship, but for right now, it can be about you sort of like coming to terms, making peace with yourself and coming back together with yourself in a way that maybe you had abandoned yourself because of this relationship. Like, well, maybe it like provided you with the opportunity and that was something that ended up happening. I'm seeing Seven of Swords, I'm seeing Three of Swords. I feel like you are going to find something out in the aftermath, meaning maybe you made a decision to end something or something did end and then you saw something continue even though it looks like you may not have, I'm hearing part of production, even though you may not have been part of that scene that was going on there. I feel like you're very well aware of something that's been happening. That Ten of Swords, Seven of Swords, and Three of Swords is going to be something very heavy. I'm also though seeing the Fool, which feels like you may be turning over a new leaf entirely. So Ten of Swords does feel like, okay, well, that's over. But then having Seven of Swords feels like something else going on behind the scenes that wasn't brought to light, but that does come to light, that was then found out about, and that can feel painful. Meaning it can be like technically the situation was over, but you found out things that had been going on that maybe you hadn't known about before. I feel too like this can be about you trusting your own intuition, maybe even the times where there's stuff that you're picking up on that there can be a part of you that's like, sweep it under the rug or turn it off, I don't want to know. Meanwhile, it's like information that maybe it would be better for you to know this, but it can also be something that maybe you were avoiding or dismissing. Just maybe because of what it was carrying with it, and maybe it was something that you didn't want to be happening. Can be this type of thing here. Like it could have been something that you were keeping yourself from knowing because otherwise it may have felt like this is too painful. Disturbing even for some of you. And for many of you, I'm seeing this be connected with a close relationship of yours. And you doing this thing here that feels like in the aftermath of what you've been going through, how do you come to a place of clarity within yourself that will allow you to heal what needs to be healed here to come back together with yourself and feel like you are connected once again in a way that you may not be feeling right now. You can be feeling a little bit disconnected from, I'm hearing something about your natural self. I just feel like this is about feeling like you're on the same page with yourself versus feeling like there's something going on that's not really allowing for flow within the dynamic with yourself. It can be something like my heart and my soul are on two different pages, or my brain and my heart are on two separate pages. This is going to allow things to come together. Seeing Temperance, give this time. This is going to be a process. I feel too for some of you that there's a major relationship that's connected with this. There may also be something about time needed between you and this person as well, because I get the feeling for many of you things are not going to be left like this. Right now you can feel like the only choice that you're left with, because for some of you there's a splitting of ways that has happened. It feels like the only choice that you're left with is to turn over a new leaf. This person may also be doing that as well. But I feel something cautionary coming here. So I feel even in a way like things may not all be exactly as they seem. I want to say this. Something that I'm seeing, be very clear about this, is that I feel like something was going on, something was happening, and there was not transparency about it. There was stuff that was maybe not communicated, that later on there's an understanding of what was going on, but I feel like at the time when this was, it can be like you find out there was something was being hidden, or there was like a motive that was not exposed, or that there wasn't transparency with feelings. It feels like in that lane. And this can also too be about the things that we do for love as well, for approval, and ways that we can abandon ourselves in order to attempt to secure that, but to secure that externally. And whether this be you, whether this be the other person, whether this be something that everybody's going through right now, I'm seeing that be in the theme as well. You are going to find yourself again. You can feel wounded right now. You can feel like your ego is wounded. You can feel like the part of you that's more confident usually is wounded right now. Like you may be feeling insecure. You may not be feeling great about yourself. You may be feeling like the part of you that would normally be more expressive is a little bit hindered currently. You are in the process of healing this. You are in a healing process right now. Give yourself time to recover from this. I'm seeing seaweed here. Maybe there's something with water that's going to be healing to you. When I think of seaweed, I think about having, what is it that you put seaweed on? I feel like there's some type of injury that you put seaweed on and it helps to heal it. Or there can even be something about being in water that can be helpful in moving the energy around, helping you to heal. I feel too, in a way, like later on when you look back at this situation, I feel like it's almost going to feel like a game or like a program that was sort of running. And then you're going to look back and be like, I feel like you're going to have a different perspective looking back at this that you may have now. You know, like right now, everything can feel really intense. Later on, you're going to have different perspective when it's like emotions, feelings are a perspective, intellect is a perspective. I feel like right now feelings are taking up a big part of this. I feel like as you move through this, that's going to be split like 50-50, and that your ability to look at this, think more from a, I don't want to say detached, because I think your feelings will be included in it. I just feel like when feelings are very big, there are a lot of big feelings going on, it can be difficult to have any other perspective other than that when it's taking up the whole perspective. I feel like when that swelling goes down, that emotional swelling goes down, that there's going to be room for you to see things in a different light than you are seeing now. That's not to say that like your feelings are valid. Everything that you're feeling right now, that is like legitimately what's going on. This is your experience. It's not to negate that in any way. It's to say that there's going to be more layered, where I feel like you're on a layer of feeling right now, and as you move through this, there are going to be other layers that are added to this that will change the lighting a bit here. So right now, coming into a place where knowing how you soothe, I do feel like intuitively you knew what was going on, but you may not have wanted to, and so you very much could have dismissed this. This is the feeling that I get, because you could have been like on the surface level, let's keep the peace, and then you see things erupt, and now this is what's going on here. Look to the part of you that is connected internally, the deepest aspects of your heart and your core here. Look to that part of you to be soothing right now for you. This also means too, people that have a soothing energy, people that are very loving and supporting and nurturing to you, that can be something that you gravitate towards right now, because you're going into a little bit of a cocoon phase here. And also two ways that you can show up for yourself like that can really help with this process as well. So you come back into a place of emotional harmony and stability with yourself. And it feels like it's gonna have you thinking much more clearly as well. Because right now you can be like, I know that there's room for me to be seeing more. It's just I can't see beyond everything that I'm feeling right now, and that's okay. It's like when you initially get an injury, like the initial cut happens or whatever it is, there's swelling that happens after the fact, and then there is, once it gets to the peak of that, then it's, I feel like you're getting close to the peak of it, and then the swelling is going to go down, but it feels like you're still at that point where that's just sort of, you're almost at the peak of this, but then things are going to settle down from that point. Like it's going to be feeling less inflamed. I feel too like maybe some things were deliberately kept from you, we can say. I feel like on a very psychic, intuitive level, you knew this, but you may not have wanted to. So I do feel like even though things could have very deliberately been being kept from you, I'm seeing you were aware of what was going on. It feels like the only reason why you may have consciously not been like, this is exactly what's going on, is because you may not have liked what your intuition was telling you. So I get it being a situation like that, when it's like, if you would have had no preference here and said, like, okay, let me tap into what my intuition is telling me, like preferences aside, what's the truth here? I feel like 100% you would have known. Because I don't even feel like what you found out was that much of a shock to you. That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I feel like this wasn't that much of a shock. I feel like other people may be shocked by how much you actually knew. And I feel like this is also a lesson in you trusting yourself as well. And also shows you too how things can get muddled. When you want what you want over the reality of the situation, over the truth, these are times when we get confused, or when we don't really know, when we disconnect from our intuition. And so this is you seeing firsthand how you can be in a situation technically at least on a soul level, like your higher self knows what's going on here. And I do feel like intuitively you knew what was going on here, but on a level of consciousness, there's that I don't want to know this. And so there's the pushing away, and then there's the like I'm not really cognitively processing that because I don't want to acknowledge that this is going on. And so I just want to like believe in something else right now. I don't want to trust myself on this because I don't want it to be true. And so you see how in you questioning yourself, questioning this situation in a way from a standpoint of like non-trust, non-belief here. Because I'm seeing you be incredibly, incredibly intuitive. It is a gift that you have. But you're also learning how that works too. You're on a journey figuring out how that works. Some of you have Scorpio. I'm seeing Pisces here too. Seeing Sagittarius, we have the moon, I'm seeing Leo on the bottom of the deck. I get the feeling as well, like even though you may not have liked what exactly was going on in this situation, you may now prefer after this to know what's going on for real rather than self-deceiving. Because even though I'm not saying it's right, like if somebody wasn't being straight up with you, I'm not saying that it's right that they're doing that, but we're focusing on you with yourself here and what you can do, because that's not what other people are doing. You don't have control over that. You do have control over what's going on with you and over your relationship with yourself. That's yours to nourish or to neglect. And so I feel like this is bringing to light something going on that's connected with where you pull away, where you disconnect from yourself. And going through this can impact you so much that you're like, I don't want to be in this position ever again. I'm really going to trust myself now. From now on, I'm not going to dismiss the things that I'm picking up on. Even if it's a feeling, even if I don't have any like concrete proof for that, maybe in like a physical, tangible way, you know, like I didn't read any text or I didn't see anything with my eyes, but I had a feeling about it. It can be a time when you start taking that seriously, where you really give yourself some more credit here. I feel too, like for some of you, this feels a bit disrespectful as well, what happened. And you can be, that can be part of why you feel the way that you feel. But I also get to that, rather than seeing this in a black and white, like they were wrong, you were right, or anything like that, to look and see like how may have you been entering the scene in a way that could have, I'm not blaming you, I'm not saying, everybody makes their own choices, right? As far as what influences us and whatnot, what we allow to influence us, the way that we make our choices, we're all responsible for ourselves. Something here that you can be looking into is what drew you into this situation to experience it in the way that you did. Because I feel like there were different ways that this situation could have gone here. And you can be learning about things that pulled you, I think, more karmically into this situation and the path that you chose to take. Because I'm seeing multiple ways that you could have moved through this. You can be looking into like, why was that the particular way that I moved through this? Why were those the choices that I was making? Why was that where my energy was? So it can be showing you too, you find yourself in a situation like this, you start seeing signs and you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. I see what's going on here and I know where that can go and I don't need a repeat of this. And I feel like this is one of those times where this situation really does cut deeply, and that if you want to have some sort of takeaway, you know, rather than being like, I learned nothing from this, you went through it anyway, so you might as well benefit as much as you can from going through it. What can you take away from this? And what can you do that would shape this in a different way were you to enter into a similar situation so you don't have to repeat it? So what is it that you need to pay attention to here moving forward so that you can apply it? Because I'm wondering too if this was one of those situations where it's like maybe there's something that goes on that's connected with your self-worth, your self-image, your self-value, your self-respect. I wonder if this was a situation where there was something going on that like it wasn't sitting well with you, but because of sitting in a wounded energy, you may have like allowed things to continue and then it lands in this place. So this can be a time where you're looking at that and you're like, if I was taking care of myself more, if I was showing up for myself more, so I would have pulled myself out of this situation before it got to this point, or I would have stood up for myself, or I would have said something, or like it can be something like this where you're recognizing that where you weren't fully in a place of love with yourself. And where you may have been relying, like outsourcing this and that being part of this situation. And I do feel like there may be some type of self-abandonment that was connected with this that you can be recognizing going on here. Even to have you saying, I'm going to trust that person, but I'm not going to trust myself here. And then this is unfolding. So this isn't to say like this is right and this is wrong or anything like that. You didn't knowingly walk into this situation. What can you take away from this so that you don't end up in the same situation again? Maybe some of you too, there were questions that you had and you avoided being direct as well about it. Because again, like I get the sense that you may have known for many of you what the answer was going to be, even on a subtle level, and you may have not wanted to know. But I'm seeing you found things out now at this point. I feel like this is a really eye-opening moment as well, where you are seeing where you need to heal within your relationship with yourself. I feel like this is a big thing emotionally. I feel like it's a big thing intuitively as well. And this being a time where I feel like this is really going to instill within you to trust your intuition in a way that you hadn't before. You're learning more about yourself, your relationship with yourself, what resonates with you, what it feels like when you're in a situation that's not resonating with you or that's not nurturing you, that's not feeling loving, that picks away at you. Many of you too can be in a spot where it's like nobody knows that this is what you're experiencing right now. You can be very much keeping this under wraps. It can be something very privately that you are experiencing it. It can be something where this really hurt your feelings a lot, but you're not saying anything about it. Because I feel this like very vulnerable, what's the word? It's like this, like just feeling very stripped, like a raw feeling here. And you can feel like this got you in a very, very sensitive place, and that you are feeling the slicing of that. And so I think nursing your wounds right now is going to be most helpful for you as you sort of come back together here and right now you can be like maybe feeling like you're having some trust issues. You can just be in a spot where you're like, this is just really painful right now. So normal to be experiencing that. I feel too like you're gonna look back at this situation and be like, that should have never been acceptable, because you're coming out as the Queen of Wands. It's like, you don't need to be in situations like this. I mean, it's not tied to your worth in any way, but you can be like, because of like me not thinking highly of myself, like I really let things go on in a way that if I were seeing myself clearly, I would have never been letting that happen. I feel like it's going to be a time like that when you look back and be like I was that person, like I should have never allowed that. I feel like it's going to be like this looking back. And this is the part of you that you're going through a process right now that you are healing. And so overall, you are going to get major, major healing from this. And I feel too, instead of your takeaway being like, I just can't trust people, or like this type of person is no good, they lie, whatever, like gotta shut down and protect my heart, gotta be cold-hearted. I feel like it's a time when you're like, this is a situation that has encouraged me to fully, totally trust myself, to trust my intuition, and to recognize I'm not crazy. And this just proves that I've known what was going on all along. I just wasn't trusting myself. And so this is something that will bring you closer with yourself at the end of the day, and you become stronger from this experience. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.